Hey, this is Jean-Claude. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all of our supporters. We received a lot of compliments and great input regarding our most recent Christmas special, and it really gave us the push we needed to enter 2017 and keep going strong. A big thank you again to Jesse J. Jones for coming onto the podcast today, as well as a shout out to S. Brown Animator for donating $10 a month to our Patreon. Go check out his stuff on YouTube. Like I said, it's S. Brown Animator. He has a lot of great stuff. And for our other listeners, during the coming year, we're going to be making a lot of changes to the Patreon rewards. I have some ideas that I think are really going to spice it up and make it a lot more enticing to donate to. So if you have a chance, go check out our page. That'd be great. Okay, so I think I've taken up enough of your time. And without further ado, coming up on Almost Adults.
So I started out when I was like 11 years old, making flip books off of the back of my mom's business cards, like stick figures exploding and pooping on toilets and stuff. So I wanted to kind of show all my tips and tricks, and I started a YouTube channel to kind of just show people what I know about Flash. You know, if you give to charity or things like that, you know, it's not something you can quantify, but that stuff comes back to you, you know. The more you give, the more you get back.
Oh, my friend Gage is gonna talk to you. Oh, and John Claude, he'll be there, oh, too. Even though they're not close together, they're far away. There, one's in Tampa, the other one's in LA. Oh, Gage, what's the show called again?
Fucking, it's Almost Adults. Shit.
Almost adult. Shit.
Hey, welcome back to Almost Adults.
Finally, welcome back to Almost Adults.
It's been a while, baby. It's been a while, though probably not, because probably listened to episode 20 by now. Hopefully I'll get episode 21 out a little bit later. This is episode 21 with Jesse J. Jones.
Hey.
Jesse J. Jones.
Thanks
Jesse
for
J.
having me,
Jones.
guys.
Of course.
How are you doing today, Jesse?
I'm doing pretty well. Just hanging out. It's a nice weekend.
It is a really nice weekend.
How are you guys?
Doing all right. We haven't recorded in a month, by the way. And over the past month,
Wow.
I've been trying to better myself. Like, recently, I got in a second car wreck.
Oh, no.
Wait, since I last talked to you, or is it the same car wreck that you were talking about last time we spoke?
I can't remember the last time we spoke, but I got in a car wreck on the highway first, and then I got in a car wreck right outside my house.
Jeez, that's scary.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're okay.
I'm fine, but I had to salvage my car.
God, that sucks.
And so now I don't have a car, and I'm shopping for a new one. A lot of crazy things have happened over the past month. The Chicago Cubs won the World Series, first time in like 108 years.
It's
Dave
awesome.
Chappelle came out of retirement to do SNL.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a new president.
Hey.
All hail the orange. Yay.
Yay!
Absolutely. Considering all of our monotones, I think we've just segregated our audience into a 50-50, but
That's fine.
hey.
That's fine. I don't want to harp on it too much. I just want to say we need to sort of move forward with this, and this is sort of the decision the country has made together. And I think we can be better people if we aren't divided, if we aren't saying, I told you so. I think we should have picked Bernie. I think Hillary should have pushed more. I think voters should have come out. We can't really harp on that. We got to keep moving forward. That's all I wanted to say on the topic.
It's a respectable opinion. I'm always one to say that change for a country should start with its people. So, working on yourself, Gage, as well as the rest of the country hopefully working on themselves, I think is a noble pursuit.
Yeah, country, come on. Get in shape.
You know, one thing that is positive that I think has come out of it is I hear a lot more people talking about actually going out and volunteering and actually helping people. So maybe part of it's good, you know. People are getting off their butts and doing things to help.
Yeah, it's a good kick in the
I
ass.
completely agree. I mean, the same kind of thing happened. What presidency was that? maybe the Reagan presidency. The Reagan presidency was kind of around the time where there were a lot of movements culturally, and then this is kind of a little bit of the same thing, that a lot of people are getting upset about the country and some of the results, and it's kind of spurring people into action to start, like you said, volunteering more. Or even, I'm just surprised this has inspired a lot of people to take notice of politics and the effects that it can have. And that's impressive.
It is really impressive. What was this? The biggest voters turnout in 25 years? Something along
Really?
those lines?
I didn't know
I
that.
think it was for Florida, anyways. For me, it was
Probably
significant in Florida. I don't know about the
horribly
rest.
misquoting that. But it was bigger than usual, let's say.
That's good.
But, gentlemen, the real question is, if we ran for president, what would our platforms be?
Cool. Do you mind if before we jump into that topic, can I just have Jesse do a little background on himself and who he is?
That's up to
For our
Jesse.
audience members that...
I'd be happy to.
All right.
So, I've always kind of been into animation. I feel like I've been really lucky that way. So I started out when I was like 11 years old making flip books off of the back of my mom's business cards, like stick figures exploding and pooping on toilets and stuff. So,
Nice.
so I've always kind of been into cartoons, and yeah, it's just something I've always wanted to do, and now I'm lucky enough to be doing it for a living. I've been working as an animator professionally for about 7 years now. I worked on TV, commercials, movies. Yeah, it's been really fulfilling, really challenging. It's been an amazing ride. I've made a lot of good friends.
Can we talk about the project that you're working on currently?
Grim?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm doing the...
That would have been funny if you said Grim. Yeah, that project. No, we can't. We can't
Super
talk about Grim.
confidential. So yeah, I'm doing the monster animations on it, like the 3D, when they morph into monsters and stuff. It's pretty fun. Like 3D's not something I'm super passionate about, but it is fun to work on, and I do like doing it. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
What's sort of the difference between 3D and 2D animation for the layman such as myself?
Technically, 2D animation is done on a computer or on paper, and it's just a flat image, like a Popeye or Betty Boop or something like that. And 3D, most animations are done in 3D, like Pixar movies. And for an animator, in 3D animation, the pose has to look good from all angles, you know, but in 2D, you can you just draw it in the way you want. I personally find it easier to draw a pose the way I want it. It's like, yeah, I know how I want it to look, but in 3D, you have to kind of pan the camera around, make sure it looks good from all perspectives, and yeah, it's just a different way of thinking about it, I think.
Wow. Did you work on Titanic? Because that's in 3D.
Oh, wow, jeez. So that's incredible. So we seem to share a lot of the same animation perspectives, because I dabble as well in 2D animation, and I always found for some reason that I was drawn more to 2D animation rather than 3D.
No pun intended.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
I love your stuff, Jean-Claude. I like your animations.
Thank you. Wow, I didn't even know that you had seen my animations, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, your stuff's really good, man.
So I wish I had more time to dedicate to it, but recently, I don't know, this is actually a perfect question for me to pop to you. I was working on a Phoenix Wright animation that I wanted to do. I don't know if you ever played that DS game.
I played a little.
Yeah, so I had this idea for an animation, and I started working on it from start to finish. I did a quick animatic, and then I started going in to do the full animation, and I realized I came to this scene where I was kind of animating a full body shot of the main character, Phoenix. Nothing that I drew kind of satisfied me. Nothing looked right for his character. I was just doing the key poses of his animation, and I kind of stopped and reevaluated like all of my artistic skills up to that point, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop animation for a little while. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna start learning how to actually draw people. As Gage is working on himself, I've been recently trying to improve my art in that respect. Have you ever come to that point?
God, all the time. Yeah, I've been trying to learn anatomy. Anatomy's always been really hard for me. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel, man. Also, like, sometimes I'll go through an entire shot and just play it back and be like, wow, this looks like poop.
Oh, gosh, no.
And I'll just start over. Like, I think that's something you have to be comfortable with, is just scrapping everything and starting over to get a better result. That's one of the parts of animation. You can't fall in love with any of your drawings or anything. You have to be willing to scrap it and start over if you need to.
Yeah. Gage, actually, you talked about talking with Rubber Ross.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how
I was
he
just about to
scrapped
bring
like
that up.
3 months of work.
For
He's amazing.
Gameverse. Yeah.
He really is. He's very, very good. I also don't know if you have this problem as well, where if I'll be in a very studious mode and I'll be trying to learn something, all my drawings will be very nice and very cool. And if I'm trying to draw a person, if I work for it for a week or two, maybe finally it'll start to look really nice as a person. But then I go back to animation and I start just kind of putting down scribbles and stuff like that. And I just immediately go back to my like little blobby, big circle-headed people kind of like quick drawings. I'm like, where did that go? Where did that realism go to? I feel like I lose some of that, but...
For sure. That happened to me in college, actually. I used to draw really realistic, like with graphite pencils and stuff. Then I went to college for animation and learned how to draw in a cartoony style. Now I can't draw realistic anymore.
It's got to be somewhere in there, you'd think.
Yeah.
You just be able to draw it back out, but it's just, it's hard.
You did that a while ago because you showed me the animatics of it. By the way, my favorite part of that was the drawings were obviously good, but I really liked your voice acting on it because you did all the voices, right?
I did. Yeah, no, I did all the voices on that one.
Yeah. Maybe you should redo that one day because I like the idea of it.
Yeah, I would love to go back and revisit it once I'm confident that I can draw him. It's almost like the 3D animation kind of thing. I want to be able to draw him from every angle and be satisfied.
For sure.
But...
Sorry, what animation are you working on right now, if any?
So I did that Shenaniganson animation, which is a while back now.
Yeah.
And I had the audio and a couple of the storyboards laid out for another one of his animations. I really like working with his stuff because it was almost, since they were based off comics, it was almost like the storyboard was already laid out for me and saved me a lot of the work. I could just go in and start doing the actual acting component of that. And so I started working on that, and that's kind of when I went back, revisited the Phoenix Wright cartoon, and then decided, like, you know what, I need to start drawing people's faces and all that stuff.
Oh,
better.
So this was, like, really recent. I thought you were talking about, like, a year ago when you showed me the Phoenix Wright thing, and then you stopped animation, and then you got back in.
This is a pretty frequent, recurring crisis that I have. I think many artists also just kind of self-evaluate and start to consider all the stuff that they do crap. It's a hole that you have to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, I have the same thing with Justice editing. I've had my first real lull with it. At the time of recording this, I'm editing the previous episode, the David and Michael episode, which I really, really like. But the thing is, David is incredibly loud, and his mic was turned up so much that he's
flipping.
First of all, he's bleeding into other mics. And second of all, his mic is picking up everyone else in the room. So I have to work around that. And that was a longer episode that we did. So it was like 2 hours of that. And then I've only been able to work like a minute of it at a time before I just go, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. I'll work on this in the morning. And then I get another minute done.
Hey, sometimes just sleeping it off and coming at it with a fresh perspective might be what you need.
Yeah, but I've been sleeping it off for a month, man.
Well, let's return back to that first kind of topic that you presented us. What was it? It was
our presidential platforms. Welcome to the 2020 election. Our candidates today for the Republic of the Tea Party of Libertarians is Gage, John Claude, and Jesse J. Jones.
Wow, okay.
Moderated by another version of Gage.
Cool.
Can't have too many Gages.
This is a debate that we're doing right now?
Sure, yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. So in the interim between the 2016 present and this 2020 present, Donald Trump has converted the United States into a complete... What?
He's
like
converted it
said,
into Waterworld from the famous Kevin Costner movie. So
Cool.
now we're all like half fish people drinking our own pee.
All right.
Have you seen that movie?
It's a great movie. I love that movie.
Really?
I do, yeah. I think it's kind of underrated.
If you just kind of see it as it is, but like
It's
at the
such
time,
a 90s movie. Like, it's that old classic, just silliness and action and nonsense. I think it's great.
I gotta watch it sometime. I haven't watched it all the way through yet, but stuff I saw, I'm like, it's not bad. I understood they marketed at the time like, this is gonna be the biggest movie ever.
Well, that's what it's famous for, is just bombing, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
No, of course not. You judge it off how often the character drinks its own pee.
So my first decree would be that everyone has to watch Waterworld. It's my first
Whoa.
executive action.
You're already splitting your audience.
Yeah, you're
right
splitting
there.
your audience.
Controversial.
Sir, I know we live in a very Kevin Costner world, and my opponent wants us to be educated, I say in quotation marks, on this Kevin Costner world. But I say we don't need no education. I say we all listen to Alice Cooper say we don't need no I'd cut the education department completely.
If you would have just had a little bit of a southern accent, everything you just said sounded a lot like a mixture of like the Colonel and Foghorn Leghorn. My papa here, I say.
I say my papa, he says he don't need no education, and he has to listen to Alice Cooper.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would force America to watch a particular movie. Maybe Shawshank Redemption, maybe?
Ooh,
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I watched that movie again recently, and just, it's good.
It's
I
really
think it has
good.
a lot of-
Unfortunately, the year it came out, a bunch of movies that were really, really good came out, like Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump. So, like, it was competing against that. I think any other year it probably would have won. But if I had to force America to watch a movie, it would probably be What Women Want, starring Mel Gibson.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
Neither have I, but I think it would be
Okay.
a great... You know what? Once a year, I think America should all come together and have an international movie night.
Yes.
I think that would be a lot of fun. We have to dress up in our PJs. We have to eat popcorn. People who eat caramel popcorn will be branded with the eye ring. What kind of monster eats caramel popcorn while watching a movie? That's
Apparently, someone that segregates their people. I mean, actually, no, that's wrong, because you don't eat caramel popcorn. Jeez, that's fucked up, Gage.
confession. I really like caramel popcorn.
Me too.
You.
Yeah, it's great. I just don't think it's acceptable to be watching a movie and eating caramel popcorn at the same time. That's like an embarrassment of the riches.
We have a movie theater that has kettle corn, and you can get like half kettle corn, half regular. So
Ooh.
good.
That's one of my favorite parts about Christmas, like getting that bin of like popcorn with like
Oh,
the
I love that
zesty
thing.
popcorn and then the salted popcorn and then the caramel popcorn. I don't know why that's a Christmas thing.
So I was in Boy Scouts for a very long time, currently an Eagle Scout and blah, blah, blah.
That's awesome.
But
Hashtag humble brag.
so Girl Scouts, they're famous for selling their delicious cookies.
Love them cookies.
A lot of people may not know that Boy Scouts competed with them, not in cookies, but we tried to sell popcorn to people.
I remember that.
And you're right, like always around the Christmas season, we would have these giant tins that we'd try to sell to people of like the caramel corn, and it would have just a variety pack in this. Imagine those like giant circular cookie tins that your grandmother keeps like sewing materials in,
Right.
but just filled with different kinds of popcorn. And it was miserable. It was
No one wants to buy popcorn from a young boy around Christmas time.
No.
They would much rather buy cookies.
When you think of popcorn, you think of it just coming out of the popper. It's warm, it's buttery, it kind of, yeah, it gets your fingers a little bit greasy, but it's like that salty first bite into it. Oh, it's so good. Here's this like old cookie tin that's just kind of stale a little bit.
I remember those tins because I was in Boy Scouts too, and they were always stale.
They were always stale.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't know what we were thinking, trying to compete with that. Girl Scouts, they got the peppermint patties. Those were my jam, man. And sometimes you have like Thin Mints, and I freeze those over and then sprinkle them into a little ice cream.
oh, yeah.
Which cookie is your favorite?
A peppermint patty by far.
What about you, Jean-Claude?
Definitely Thin Mint.
I like, what are they called? I actually forget. What's the
Samoas?
one? What are they?
Samoas?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That's the only other cookie that I know out of the girls. I know Thin Mints, peppermint, peanut butter patties, and Samoas. Mm-hmm. Which are, yeah. But I love Girl Scout cookies, man. I wish I had more money to buy them. Mm-hmm. Because I'd just buy them every day. When do they sell Girl Scout cookies?
In the summer?
I don't have
I'm not sure.
no idea. I'm sure they have cycles throughout the seasons, maybe.
It's a successful business, and it's a good way to promote the charity of young children.
Speaking of charity, so I was driving home this morning, and I was sitting at a light, and a gentleman who was obviously homeless because he was holding a cardboard sign, but he was also holding this ID badge, and he would very boldly kind of just go up to your window and like put the sign up to it as well as the ID badge. And I didn't get a quick look because I was one of those people that kind of like, oh, I'm texting someone at the same time that
Yeah.
that you're looking at me. What a horrible timing.
What a horrible person I am. Anyways, continue.
How do you guys usually deal with that? Because I wish that I was more altruistic. I wish that I could be like, you know what, here, take all the change in my car. But for some reason, I've just been conditioned into this state where it's just like, it's weird to give them money. Like, it's the status quo to just look away and pretend that that's not happening.
I feel you,
How do
man.
you guys deal with it?
There's a lot of people that pretend to be homeless that, have cell phones and cars. So I don't know. I feel you there. I usually give food when I can.
Oh yeah.
That's smart.
Sometimes
When they turn down food, it's like, all right, I guess you're doing okay.
Yes, you're not in that need.
Yeah.
when I'm right outside the grocery store, that's exactly what I do too. I usually get like some bananas for myself, and when people are like, "You got to spare change," I'm like, "Well, I have this banana," and they're like, "No, thank you," and I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess you don't need it that bad." Yeah, it's a sad thing because in Los Angeles, there's a ton of homeless people. And you kind of do have to sort of look away and just go about your day. But also, the good part of that is I don't have any money to begin with.
That's helpful.
That is sort of an interesting balance. But I think you do need to sort of fill that, I don't want to call it a void, but it's like a need to do philanthropy. I think that's important to do. Whether it be selling art, whether it be streaming video games, just try to give back to your community a little. And if you don't feel comfortable giving money to homeless people, don't do it.
People call it woo-woo to say, but if you give to charity or things like that, it's not something you can quantify, but that stuff comes back to you. The more you give, the more you get back.
You're talking about the caramel.
The caramel popcorn.
The caramel popcorn. I'm getting my branding iron.
Cycle of caramel popcorn.
Cycle of caramel.
Jeez.
This is the second podcast where I brought up the branding iron. I brought it up with the Nino one too.
Did you? I don't even remember that, but maybe it's something you should explore.
It should,
And that's
yeah.
a side of yourself that you don't know about.
I don't.
We
It
don't-
just seems so like medieval and vicious.
We don't kink shame.
I think the only time I've seen a branding iron is like from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Where they would brand the pirates.
Yeah,
I can see
they would brand them with a P, and they said, "No, you're a pee-pee pirate.
Whoa.
Oh, those
Jack
nasty
Sparrow's
old
one of them.
pee-pee pirates.
You're a nasty pee-pee pirate now."
So speaking of giving back to the community, Jesse, you are not only a 2D animator, but you're also a teacher of animation.
I try, yeah.
So how did you get into that?
I actually wanted to show my friends how to use Flash because I've been using it for forever. So I wanted to kind of show all my tips and tricks, and I started a YouTube channel to kind of just show people what I know about Flash.
YouTube.com/JonesJones.
Yeah. So I guess other people found it helpful, and I was like, oh, people actually like this thing. So I started doing more of them. It's been really fulfilling. I like doing it. I like helping people that way.
Yeah, John Claude, you said you wanted to sort of be a teacher one day.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly I would teach. So I found when I was going through undergrad and I was taking Physics 2, the course that I was in, the teacher, it's very easy to lose interest in a subject when your teacher doesn't express a lot of enthusiasm themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They may be a leader in the field, and they may be super excited about the work that they're doing, but if they don't bring that same enthusiasm to class, you're going to lose your entire audience. A lot of it is just entertainment, basics. And so I found this YouTube channel, and what was his name? Doc Schuster, I think was his name on YouTube. And he has all these physics videos and stuff like that, and he's this high school teacher teaching like college level stuff on his YouTube channel. And he's so enthusiastic about what he teaches. You can just, the amount of love that he has for physics is just palpable. You can just feel it emanating off of him, and it inspires you. When I listened to him, that was kind of one of the first sparks that I had, that I was like, I want to be that for someone. I want to be that kooky science teacher that maybe I'm not going to appeal to the entire class, but there's going to be like one or two students that like hang out after class, and they're like, Mr. Gage, you had an awesome class today. Tell me more about this, and I can help expand on their ideas and their goals, and that's such a fulfilling idea.
You'll be like Robin
that's
Williams
awesome.
from Flubber.
Now, please tell me when I ask you, Gage, that you've seen Flubber, you will say, yes, I have seen Flubber.
I've seen Flubber twice.
Twice, wow.
I watched it a little bit yesterday, and I'm like, I can see this being a movie John Claude really, really likes.
I can't honestly say that I've watched Flubber all the way through. I remember the little floaty robot that he has around him.
Yeah.
Which looks... Do either of you play Overwatch?
Nah.
I played a little
Okay.
bit.
So there's a character, May, and she's a little freezy girl. And she has a little robot that she throws, and it starts snowing everywhere and freezes everyone around them. And it looks surprisingly like just a palette-swapped robot from Flubber.
It does.
Wow.
Wow. Conspiracy.
Overwatch, you've been called out. You're taking Flubber ideas now. God, Blizzard, answer for your rights.
Answer for your crimes.
Answer for your... Yeah, that's what it was. I'd be a terrible president. I'd be like, look, everybody, can't do that. My first decree as president is having Blizzard Entertainment go up against the movie Flubber and see what kind of crimes they have done against humanity.
Divert
Important
all
issues.
federal resources.
Divert
towards
all
that
federal
goal.
resources. Sir, the Russian-Chinese hybrid are attacking. I don't care.
Oh my.
Get this Flubber case on my tail.
So Gage, if you had to teach something, what would you teach?
Honestly, I would probably teach like video production. I love the entire process of it, and I really like showing sort of my editing process. I really like to stream. I haven't been doing that in a while, but I really like to stream, and Jesse does this a lot too, where whenever someone asks a question on his stream, he's like, oh yeah, let me show you sort of an animation trick to help you out with that. And when people ask me questions about editing, I get really, really excited. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is a really simple thing that I do. This is not really the conventional way that I was taught, but this is one of the ways to do that. And it's very flexible to make video. Everyone sort of has their own unique voice, and everyone has their own story to tell. And I would love to like teach a generation of kids how to express their voice like that. I think that's sort of a beautiful thing.
That'd be cool.
It would be. Yeah. I wish I was a teacher just like you, Jesse.
You got all the things. You just need a microphone and a screen recording thing.
Oh, I do have a microphone. I do have a webcam. Wow. I could
You
be
can do
just
it
like
all,
Jesse.
Gage.
I could.
I had some moments in Twitch where I was streaming, and I was actually working on the OwlTurd comic animation, and I had a couple people popping in here and there, and one person in particular popped in, and they were really interested in the animation, and they had a lot of questions. They seemed to be kind of new to the field, but they showed some interest, and they were asking some questions about the fundamentals and some of the stuff that I was doing. And I got really excited. I got really excited to kind of show them a little bit of the stuff that I know. And then they just started getting weird.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
I was super like pumped on this viewer that was watching. I was like, wow, I have a really dedicated viewer here that might tune back in just to get some lessons here. Mm-hmm. And then they just started linking a bunch of porn videos in the chat.
Oh. What? All right.
Yeah. And it turned everything so sour.
That's super
I
weird.
was like, I would have loved to teach you, but I have to do the right thing, and I had to ban them from my
Oh,
my
no.
Twitch stream.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You could have
That
been one
sucks.
of the greats, kid.
Yeah. I'm not one to censor people, but that's
Yeah, you can't really have that in your chat.
to cultivate the right audience. I would rather not have porn.
That's
being
such a
distributed.
left turn. It's like, oh, how do you do a bouncing ball? Hey, here's this.
I'll show you some bouncing balls.
Here's some tits. Oh man, it was a shocking
That's bizarre.
90-degree turn.
People on the internet are weird. Don't ever meet people on the internet. Isn't that right, Jesse?
I didn't want to say anything, Gage, but
Uh-oh.
Oh, hey, we're all weird.
yeah. I've been pretty lucky. I've had very few weird people. I mean, once in a while, but for the most part, like 99% of the people that show up have been super cool, awesome people.
Oh, yeah. I love going to your streams. They're very chill. You're very enthusiastic to see whomever is in there. And you get work done in your streams.
I try.
Which
That's
is
actually
a hard
that's
balance
one
to
of
strike.
the helpful things about it is you can't browse around, you can't look on things on the internet because you have to keep working while you're streaming. So it kind of helps
That's
that way.
exactly why I
Entertain.
stream, because it helps me focus, and I know I have an audience or like a few people looking at me and being like, "Oh, are you going to get work done?" And I'm like, well, I suppose I have to now. So streaming, very good. I would like to do it a little bit more often. I just need to find the time to do it.
For sure.
Agreed. I should start getting back into the streaming game, but
Yeah, get back into the stream. We're already back into the... Ah, shit. Hold on, I knocked my mic. We're back into the podcast game.
so let's I'm not gonna say let's shift gears.
You can say that, dude. I've already
okay.
got the t-shirts printed out.
Okay, good. Send it over. I'll be wearing it every time we podcast.
And that'll be on the back.
So you came up with another topic, Gage, that I found kind of a really cool topic and something that I've been dealing with, I guess, a little bit recently. Fear.
It was funny because I was talking to Jesse and I'm like, "Hey, Jesse, do you mind if we talk about this? He's like, "No, I kind of want to keep a positive podcast. I want to sort of keep the mood up and just have fun." And I'm like, "All right, I totally agree. Let's talk about fear." And he's like, "All right, perfect."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've found that fear is a positive thing for the most part. At least in the way that I've experienced it as of late. In today's society, we're so advanced that like we don't have to fear for our lives for the most part. Maybe we'll get hit by a car, but for the most part, we're not trying to avoid being stalked by vicious predators and blah blah blah. So we've had to deal with fear in other regards, like deadlines for work, doing our taxes, and that's kind of given a lot of people anxiety and things like that. But I find a lot of situations where I'm fearful, interviews, meeting new people for the most part.
Yeah.
If I'm kind of anxious about meeting them or I've got that butterfly feeling or just fearful a little bit, that's when I find it brings out the most in me. Like I just get really adrenaline pumped and work extra hard.
Yeah, I sort of relate to sort of that anxiety and fear myself. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I suffer from anxiety and depression, and it keeps me from doing a lot of things. Sometimes I have this whole plan to go out, and when it comes time to step up to the plate, I just have to step back and say, I can't do it. I have to stay home and be safe. And that's held me back a few times, but I'm honestly trying to fight it. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Just I get very anxious a lot of the times. This podcast, for example, it makes me very anxious. I have a lot of fun doing it. Let me get that out of the way. But I want to make the proper deadlines for myself. And recently, I have not been meeting those deadlines.
No, I can totally relate, Gage. I feel the same way. I have a lot of social anxiety, like meeting new people and stuff, like you were saying, Jean-Claude. I don't know, for me, it's not a motivational thing. I definitely feel more closer to what you were saying, Gage, that it just holds you back. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough thing to get over. I think saying yes to more things is important. I'm trying to do that more. So often, I'll have people just say, like, hey, you want to hang out or you want to go do something? And I'll just be like, no, I'm busy. I can't. And it's not that
When
I'm
you're
busy. It's
not
just that I'm
busy,
scared to do it.
Jesse, is that why it took you 8 months to get on this podcast?
I am always busy.
Oh yeah, totally. By the way, if Jesse,
but,
if you ever ask Jesse to hang out with him, he's always busy.
But a lot of people use that excuse, even if
Oh
it's
no,
not
I'm not saying
necessarily
it's
true.
exclusive to you by any means.
No, I know. I can totally relate. It's a hard thing to get over. I don't have any advice.
I had that experience yesterday. I've been doing improv for probably almost a year now.
Oh, that's cool.
And that in itself is kind of a really cool anxiety breaker.
I bet.
Because at first, you meet this group of people that it's the same kind of deal. You're anxious to meet them. It's a completely new environment. But you start meeting them week after week, and you start cultivating this family. And you realize that a lot of problems, this is in the sense of improv, but a lot of it can be translated over to just life in general. A lot of problems in improv, it's not a one-man show. Someone can just, if they have a prompt, will get up and start a scene, and they might be the only one on stage. And it's your job to just kind of jump in. You don't have to have a character for yourself. You don't have to have any preconceived notions about what you're going to do, but just getting up there, being beside them is enough to help them out and bounce ideas back and forth. And the same thing can be said about just social situations. Saying yes to a lot of things is a huge first step. And I think I don't know. I guess I'm lucky in the sense that I benefit from the anxiety instead of receding. I think it's a cool thing to just kind of say yes and meet new people, and if you're just nice to them, there's nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, that's
true.
another thing I get really anxious about. I'm always worried about people's first impression of me, because it either goes to two extremes. I'm either super duper quiet and I don't want to talk to anyone, or I'm like super loud and trying to impress whatever person is there. And I get really nervous, and I'm like, dude, this person never wants... For example, the first time I met Mick, Rice Pirate, I was incredibly anxious to meet him, and we had dinner, and I don't think I said like 3 sentences just because of pure anxiety. And I'm like, oh, that went terrible. He probably doesn't want to talk to me again. And like later in the stream, he's like, oh, hey, we got dinner. It was great. I'm like, why was I so worried about this?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, and I don't think we've really talked about anxiety that much, but it's something that really, really affects us. Especially after this election, a lot of us are like super anxious to kind of see what comes next. That's why I say, as much to you as to me, we gotta just keep moving forward, just gotta keep pushing. Sorry, don't want to bring it back to politics.
No, but let's bring it, rather than politics, let's bring it back to that whole service thing. I mean, maybe take it as an experiment. The next social situation that you maybe have anxiety about, flip it to the other person. Make your whole interaction focused around, what's this other person about? Let me figure them out. What are their needs? What are their fears?
That's great advice.
How can I help them out? And see how that goes. That could be interesting.
Can I share a piece of advice that kind of helps me through situations like that?
Sure. Absolutely.
I heard this advice to phrase how you're feeling into, oh, I'm feeling the anxiety, which kind of separates yourself from it. It's like, oh, this is a feeling that everyone in the world has, and I'm feeling the anxiety. And kind of putting the word the before you're feeling. It sounds like nonsense, but it's really helped me just thinking about it that way. Just not having it be so attached to myself. Just being like, oh, I'm feeling that feeling, the feeling. Yeah, just phrasing it that way in your head. For me personally, it seems to help me.
I think that's kind of a big problem with anxiety in itself, is that it's this kind of looming shadow that doesn't have any tangibility to it. You don't know how to immediately deal with it. It's not something you can just sweep under the carpet. But just putting that the in front of the anxiety kind of gives it almost that solidity. And it's like, okay, this is now something. What can I do to deal with this? Or,
and also the other person's probably feeling the same way. Like, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. I sort of do the opposite of what you do. I do what Jesse does on the other end of the spectrum. I've kind of accepted myself as sort of an anxious person, and I've sort of accepted myself as sort of a depressed person. And in a weird sense, that has helped me, because when I do feel down or I do feel anxious, it reassures me to think there's nothing... It sounds sort of bad to say, but there's nothing sort of wrong with this situation, because I'm generally an anxious person and I'm generally a depressed person. So this situation, in this case, it's heightened for me a little bit. I do have that medically heightened situation, and that helps me to know that just saying it now, it makes me feel like I'm like, oh, well, I'm just kind of special snowflaking it.
For sure. Yeah.
But you gotta sort of cope with yourself, and you gotta sort of learn who yourself is. Once again, nonsense. I've been spitting nonsense.
Makes sense to me.
But you just kind of gotta deal with who you are, and if you're generally an anxious person and a depressed person, that's okay. That's what I wanted to get at.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You gotta be sort of okay with yourself, and you gotta be able to forgive yourself. Give yourself a little bit of leniency. It's easier said than done.
For sure.
I think that was productive.
It was really productive.
Feels good, man.
Yeah. I do have like a lot of those fears sort of on my chest, and just getting it out there is a great first step.
Absolutely. So, Gage, what's your favorite cereal brand?
I did have these really serious subjects, and I'm like, let's just talk about cereal.
Such a good segue. I love it.
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And recently I've been experimenting with like more sugary cereals because I wasn't allowed to have that as a kid. I like the peanut butter ones like Captain Crunch and Reese's Puff as sort of like a dessert cereal. But for like a grown-up breakfast, I love the Special K with berries. I like the dried berries a lot, and sometimes get a little exotic and sprinkle a little blueberries in there.
Ooh, fancy.
Get those antioxidants. Very nice.
What about you guys?
I've always liked Lucky Charms. Anything with marshmallows in it, I'm a sucker for.
Yes. Are you one of those people that like tries to dip around the brand part and just try to eat the marshmallows?
I got in trouble because I took the whole cereal box and ate all the marshmallows and just left all the shitty bits.
That sounds like a dick move, dude.
It was awful. I got in so much trouble. I had to eat the rest of the box. I was like, oh,
It's
this
like the
sucks.
Captain Crunch thing. With like the oops, all berries. It's just
I
like,
love
oops, all regular cereal.
Regular cereal. Yeah. When was this? Like last week?
Have you seen that they sell just the marshmallows? Like you can buy them online?
I saw they were doing like some campaign for it with what's the guy's name? You got what I need. Who's that guy?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, like I know the song. That
It's gonna kill me. I gotta look that up. But anyways, he was talking about like a marshmallow campaign. They were giving away like 10 boxes of only marshmallows, and he sang that song, but like with a marshmallow twist. Biz Markie, that's the guy's name. He's like Carlos and mine's favorite musicians because he's such a cheeseball, and like people just like having him around. He toured a lot with the Beastie Boys, and now he's like on Yo Gabba Gabba doing beatbox sessions.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's the dream.
It's really funny where his career went.
Living the dream.
But really cool at
That's
the same
awesome.
time. But yes, I think all marshmallows is too much of a good thing for me personally.
Nah.
Jesse's just like totally disagree.
What about you,
man.
Jean-Claude? What's your
So
cereal?
we'll have to send you a thank you box just of full marshmallows.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Merry Christmas, Jesse. Here's your marshmallows.
Why, thank you.
Thank you. Dude, actually, that's a good
be
idea.
awesome.
If you just have like a box of marshmallows, and if your Lucky Charms don't have enough marshmallows in it, you could just sprinkle in a little more marshmallows. I think that's a good idea.
I like that.
Marshmallow Reserve.
Yeah. If you have a bad day, just sprinkle a little more marshmallows in there. What about you, John
it.
Claude? What's your favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal? Well, I have to start by saying I don't generally eat cereal on a regular basis. But if I had to choose my favorites, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is definitely up there.
Nice.
I loved for the longest time Golden Grams.
Golden Grams are the shit, dude. I love it.
Forgot
Golden
about
Grams
that. Yeah,
are
those
the
are good.
shit. I would come home from school, from middle school, and they had, what did they have on TV back then? It was like Totally Spies and Ned's Declassified and things like that.
Nesty class.
So shows like that would come on. I never ate my cereal for breakfast. That was never a thing for me. It was always snack food. I would just grab a box, open up the plastic bag, and just kind of munch on the cereal as I would watch a show or just kind of veg.
You didn't use milk?
No, I was a dry guy.
Oh, you're one of those dry men.
Yeah. Dry house. It was a prohibition era. But the worst part is with Golden Grams, I would kind of put in a mouthful of these Golden Grams in my mouth and just kind of like suck the honey off of them.
And then just spit them right back out like a tobacco thing.
God, no. Jesus, that's vile. No, I would not do that.
You just spit them right back in the box.
I would go for all the
Like
honey
chewing
goodness.
tobacco for kids.
But the problem is that since they're like these hard, rigid squares of a cereal, after like a day or so of just kind of, not a full day, but after watching an episode of Ned's Declassified and just sucking on these Golden Grams, it would start to like irritate the roof of my mouth.
Ooh.
And you just like after eating too many like sour Skittles or just anything like that where it's just kind of rubs the wrong way in the inside of your mouth and it's just like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
You tongue it, you keep on tugging that little sore spot, and and I couldn't eat Golden Grams for a day because it
That's
just
awful.
wasn't satisfying.
What's your favorite episode of Ned's Declassified?
Oh, a favorite episode of Ned's Declassified. I don't know, anything with... damn, that's a hard question.
Anything with Gordy the janitor?
Who's also the voice actor for Cosmo
Yeah, I think we've been over this.
and Timmy's dad, yeah. I don't know, I really liked their chemistry teacher.
The one with the glasses?
Yeah, I think, what was his name? Mr. Sweeney?
I don't remember.
I'll look it up at some point. I really liked his episodes because he was kind of like the Squidward of the show.
Yeah.
He was this kind of grumpy old guy that the main characters were always a little bit wary of because he was always so grumpy. But then there would be these few episodes where he'd kind of break down or he'd show his more gentler side, and that he was just a teacher looking out for his kids. He's just trying to do what's right by them. And you're like, yeah, I can relate to that.
That's what a teacher should be.
Yeah, kind of one of those characters that you don't relate to until you're older and you're like, he was just being an adult. He's just being a good guy.
And meanwhile, we're almost adults. Thank you for joining the podcast. This has been the Almost Adults with Jesse J. Jones and John Claude, and we're not ending it quite yet.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, oh my god, damn, okay, all right, cool.
I was confused.
I just thought that would be a good transition.
That was a great ending,
It was a good
though.
ending, but I don't know. I feel like we could say more. We could say more
Yeah,
on
I'm
Ned's
down.
Declassified. Have you seen Ned's Declassified?
I've never watched it, no. I do know the show, but I've just never seen it.
It's fun. It's like really, really goofy, which I admired about the show.
Is it one of those things where you had to watch it as a kid
Yes.
to have that nostalgia factor to enjoy it, or is it objectively
I don't know.
pretty
I
good?
haven't seen it now, so I can't tell
I think
you.
it's the former, because it's definitely the nostalgia is a big factor for it, because I don't think I recently went back and watched it, but I remember there was a day that I came home and it popped on the television. It had been a couple months since I'd watched Ned's Declassified, but there was an episode on. And just watching it, I realized just how many sound effects they use. And it's not just a laugh track. It's like I open up my locker and it kind of bounces someone on the head and you get a little like cartoony boing.
Boing.
Oh, fun.
But they never popped out at me. And then for some reason, it's almost like an optical illusion where one day you're looking at it and then you finally see the picture that's behind it and you're like, oh my god, I hear all the sound effects. I hear every single one, and they're every second. And it detracted from everything that show had going for it, and then I could never look at it again.
I had the same experience with
interesting.
Moulin Rouge. I thought that like there's too many sound effects, there's too many things going on at the same time, and I'm like, I can't watch this. This illusion is ruined for me.
I hate having to do sound design and looking through sound effects because I've heard all the Wilhelm screams and all the squeaky gates. It's like, that's
God.
that sound effect.
We could talk about this. Someone in my break room was like, dude, wouldn't it be great if a Wilhelm scream was in there? And I'm like, no, you idiot. No. This is the most generic thing. They're like, but it's a funny sound designer joke. And I'm like, well, a joke has like a punchline to it. It's just nothing. They're like, oh, it's just a fun transition. You don't get it, man.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to lose friends over the fucking Wilhelm scream.
Controversial.
Controversial. Hey, sound editors, if you want a new scream, then I got something for you. There you go. Put that in every one of your movies and see how funny it is. Jesse and Jean-Claude, give everyone your Wilhelm scream.
I don't remember what it sounds like.
Make your own scream, and then we'll say it's a Wilhelm scream.
Oh, God.
That's a pretty good one. Jean-Claude, you got a good scream?
Yeah, sure. Let me turn down the gain on my mic.
All right.
I feel like it's just gonna come out Dragon Ball Z, so I think I'm just gonna go that route.
Go ahead.
That was a good one.
Oh, God, I've missed doing this podcast, man.
Just getting some Vegeta screams everywhere.
That's the only thing I know from Dragon Ball Z.
I'm the Prince of All Saiyans.
Yeah, oh, that's a pretty good Vegeta. I'm impressed. If I ever do something with Vegeta, I'm gonna have to call upon your skills.
I fucking love Vegeta. He's so good.
He's very, very good. And he's a voice that I've never been able to get. No matter how hard I try, it's just so distinct.
What does Vegeta's voice sound like?
Kind of what he just did.
He sounds like he's always constipated, Kakarot.
Oh, okay. I only know the Oni cartoon version.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like that.
Will Kakarot. I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. That's why I've been fired for voice acting. I applied to the school of Jesse J. Jones, and Jesse's like, look, if you can't do a Wilhelm scream, I don't want you in my school.
Yeah, I'll sit in my car some days. Like, the voices I can do are like, they range from SpongeBob to Android 16.
Your SpongeBob
I can-
is excellent, by the way.
Thank you.
I think we have it recorded,
That's
but I
impressive.
think on one of these podcasts you did your SpongeBob, and I'm like, dude, stop playing that clip from SpongeBob. And you're like, no, that's my voice.
It's just me, man. That's like the one impression that I have securely under my belt. Tom Kenny, watch out.
Tom Kenny, you better watch out. All right, well, we should probably start wrapping this thing up.
Sure.
All right. Jean-Claude, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. So, I feel like I've given this advice or this final thought before. This is a call to action for all of our listeners. The next time you have a conversation with someone that maybe you're meeting for the first time, or maybe it's just a coworker that you're not just more than acquaintances with, yes and them. Don't necessarily be a yes man where you're just like agreeing blindly with it, whatever they say, but if they present you with an opinion or something, be like, yeah, and then pursue it further. Try and figure out who they are. Be a little bit of a scientist and also improviser. See how it goes. Try that little experiment.
By the way, speaking of listeners, a while ago we had our first fan mail.
Sure, yeah.
That's awesome.
Can we shout him out?
Yeah. I emailed him back, and he said his name is Jesse Ruiz. R-U-I-Z. R-U-I-Z. Ruiz? I don't know if I'm pronouncing...
Ruiz?
Jesse Ruiz. Yeah, he's an amateur artist that likes the game Grumps and Mega 64 and Sleepy Cabin. And I like all those kinds of stuff. So, good on you,
Awesome.
kid.
Well, he sounds like he's a perfect fan. So thank you so much, Jesse Ruiz, for listening to our podcast. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. And if you want to send us video games, we're probably not going to play them.
Oh, I mean, if I got a video game from a fan, I would, be obligated to play it? Yeah, I would totally play that.
Oh, never mind. We'll totally play it. Just did a 180 right there, ladies and gentlemen. We'll totally play your game. I don't know if I told you this, but Pierce and I actually tried to do like a Let's Play series, playing Death Row to Canada with some almost adults characters, like past guests that we had.
Okay.
And we recorded it, like a half an hour of it, and I have it all on my computer. But then I was just like, I don't feel like this is good enough. And so I never released it.
Hey, I mean, it might just be something to put on the YouTube backlog. Who knows?
Maybe. We do have a YouTube channel up. We'll try to post more of our stuff here. I want to try to upload a lot of episodes to YouTube because we have not done that yet.
Absolutely. So, Gage, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Do not let anxiety and fear of what people think of you get in your way. You need to constantly be fighting that. You need to constantly be challenging yourself, whether it be artistically or just socially. So it's very important to do that and just keep your head up and keep moving forward. I believe that was a Walt Disney quote from Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, and if this podcast touches any of our listeners in a way that they feel like they'd like to send us an email and talk about something,
yes,
feel free.
You're always welcome. Tweet us, send us an email. Our email is almostadultspodcast@gmail.com. So you're welcome to give us a good listen. Jesse, thank you for coming, my friend.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you'll be coming back sometime.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
But not before you give us your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Do what you love to do, and other people will love it too.
I like that a lot. That was short, sweet, succinct. It was beautiful.
All right, so how are we going to end the podcast?
I think that's perfect ending. Do what you love to do, and other people will love it too.
Perfect. Podcast over.